Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Index or Office Hours. Today is the 4th of March, the third month of 2025. My gosh, is the year rolling past. Wow, I can't believe we're at March already. And this is episode 197. We're almost at that 200 mark. In fact, I'm going to mention the 200 mark in today's conversation, and would love to hear your input as to what you guys would like to hear for that particular episode. I have some plans, but of course, it's always good to get some input from you guys so that it's tailored for you guys. Okay, just to let you know, this is the town square where ecosystem participants come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexes. That is the introduction for those who are new to Index Office Hours. And my famous line is coming up next, which is, this is a conversation and we do love participation. So please do get involved in today's conversation via text or voice. If you have any challenges with your voice, let me know and I will get that sorted for you. Many folks are typing in GM in the chat, so it seems like chat is working great for everyone, which is good. Just as a reminder, this is a session that's going to be recorded and posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you are concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's exciting agenda. So as always, very nice, very nice. Thank you for the round of applause there. As always, I like to give a shout out for the latest GRT IQ episode, and today is no different. This is quickly becoming the funniest part of IOH. I promise I will pronounce the name properly. It is Alexei. I hope that's how everyone else pronounces it. Please let me know. I'm going to also attempt his surname as well. I pronounce it Zemayatin, but yeah, let me know if Hyperbole. Yeah, that's like the next level of the Super Bowl. The Hyperbole. I'm just like, thinking about the future there. So there you go. Okay, Alexei Zemayatin. I'm not getting any sort of funny comments in the chat, so I'm assuming I'm saying his name. Where's the extra A? What? How would you say it, Juan? I really wonder if it's Alexei or Alex-I. Okay, interesting. Zamayat Zamyatin? Okay. Okay, interesting. Okay, Zamyatin. Zamyatin. Zamyatin? Is that am I getting that right?
I mean, I don't know, but I would assume so. The thing is, like, it's always there's an extra letter somewhere that you place where I don't really understand where it comes from.
I'm just generous. I like to give people extra letters in their name, I'm a generous guy, what can I say? That's true. I tend to do that with names for some strange reason. It's okay, you're allowed to add an extra letter. Yeah, there you go. I'm getting some thumbs up from Josh. I already have a long surname. We don't need extra. By a vowel. Gives them a little more character. Thank you. That's an extra S in my name. I appreciate that, Josh. But there you go. This is great. I love it. This is, yeah, again, quickly becoming one of my favorite parts of IOH. Okay, so Alexei is the co-founder of Build on Bob, which is a hybrid layer 2 solution that combines Bitcoin security with Ethereum programmability. And their aim is to build an open financial ecosystem on top of Bitcoin using technologies like BitVM. So, interesting. It says here he's from Moscow, but raised in Austria. So I'm assuming his name is from either of those places. So background in Bitcoin security, and he's been working on that since 2015. Also has a PhD in computer science. That's a funny gif. So go ahead and check out that particular episode if you are interested in any of the topics there. Juan has so kindly posted that as well as the agenda in the chat. So there you have it. That's everything for opening remarks and for my mispronunciations of people's names. without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Anna for our regularly scheduled Reaper Watch section.
Thank you, Abel, and hello, everyone. Okay, so Reaper Watch today, we have on execution layer clients a new 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 version. This is version 2.61.2, which includes performance improvements to the engine API and a scheduled feature for Pectra, plus a minor bug fix for the RPC daemon. This is a significant improvement, but it's not critical, and we have tested this on testnet already. And I'm gonna stop here and ask how many of you have already migrated to 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀 3, and what has been your experience. And while people are typing, new version of Get, this is 1.15.4, which includes important bug fixes that address transaction verification issues, erroneous logging, and improved network stability. All operators must upgrade to ensure compatibility with the upcoming Pectra fork and 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. So this is a mandatory upgrade. Then we have a new... Okay, so Matthew is saying you have updated, you're in progress with BSC and 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 done. Okay. Then we have a new release of RAT. This is 1.2.1. This addresses a misconfiguration in 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 Paris block, but has low urgency for updates across user classes, indicating a minimal immediate operational impact. So very low priority. Then we have two new releases from Firehose Ethereum, so version 2.11.0. Which introduces a quick save feature for substreams, allowing state preservation during shutdown and improving performance by defaulting to WASM time for module execution, which reduces the execution time significantly. All operators should consider enabling these features for better operational efficiency. This is a yellow or low urgency, but important for performance. Then we have 2.11.1, which fixes a critical bug in production mode that obstructs file resolution related to cursors during linear handoff phase, which could impact request handling. This is a critical bug which affects production operations. And I think there are more Firehose releases coming. And Jonathan is saying Pinax has two sets of 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 3, included all 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 3 supported chains. Nice. Let us know if you've had any difficulties with using 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 3 or anything that we should be aware of. Okay, moving on, Nethermind. So two releases here. So 1.31.2, which includes upcoming hard forks for 𝗨𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 and 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, requiring immediate attention for operators. So all operators should update due to the hard fork implementation. And then 1.31.3, which is a mandatory update for 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀 validators ahead of the Pectra hard fork. So this is specifically important for validators. And then we also have on consensus layer client a new Nimbus update. This is 25.3.0, which introduces support to no 𝗨𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 testnet and includes improvements like SSZ support for the register validator beacon API, along with some other bug fixes. This is a low urgency in general, but it is critical for operators using the 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 testnet. And this is all I have this week. Any reason why Lodestar isn't included in CL clients? It hasn't been requested. We personally are not using it. This is the first time it's being requested, so I will make sure to add it. And we are facing Polygon 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 connection unstable problems, still troubleshooting. That's interesting because I was specifically looking to upgrade due to Polygon Amoy issues, but I was able to get it into a stable state with Aragon 2. Thank you, and yeah, we'll add Lodestar to the repo watch for next week. And over to you, Juan.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Getting into Protocol Watch, we don't have a lot to cover this week, to be honest. So for forum governance, forum research, and the network subgraphs, there are no new updates since last IOH. And for the contract repository, there are a few Horizon updates, both to the events themselves and as well as main audit related fixes or pre-assessments to the audit. So that's pretty much it for Protocol Watch, to be honest. I don't know if Paka's around, so I'm going to be handing over to Abel now.
Amazing, thank you very much. Just want to more questions from how okay, so there seems to be more questions in relation to Protocol Watch, Anna, so I just want to direct your attention to the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗟𝗶, if he's here, as well as Kate. They have an announcement in relation to the upgrade indexer. So without further ado, folks, feel free to take the mic.
Hey. Thank you very much, Abel. Yeah, so I wanted to follow up on the announcement that Mickey made 2 weeks ago about the upgrade indexer and migrating that volume over to the decentralized network. And there's currently a cross-team initiative to bring the highest query volume chains and subgraphs over from the upgrade indexer and to the decentralized network. And a concrete proposal have been made that indicates bringing around 10 new chains across 4 batches over to the network, and that would happen over the next 2 months, and would migrate 97% of the volume that we see on those chains. And that is currently, we can't say which chains it is just yet, but we'll be able to share that with the indexes, hopefully by the end of the day. The council is currently looking at that proposal, but that would have the first few chains in the next upcoming weeks, and then a set of 3 more chains or 4 more chains in the end of the month, and then have a couple of more chains in May. So Kate will be reaching out in the indexer announcement channel. We would love to get some indexers on board to help support these new chains as soon as possible, as soon as we have indexing rewards live. And we'll be able to share the final list of chains and also the subgraphs and what curation signal will be on each of these subgraphs, like over the next few days. First the chains, and then we'll share the subgraphs as soon as we have them as well. And we'll probably stop by Indexer office hours weekly to give an update on this initiative, just to ensure indexes are ready and prepared. And as always, the docs are already ready for these chains. So InfoDAO will be supporting both indexes and have docs ready for that. So, but yeah, you need a list of chains, as Matthew is saying, and we'll share that list as soon as possible. The council is taking a look at that list right as we speak. So we wanted to have it ready by now, but a couple of more hours you'll have to wait at least. So if everything looks good, we'll share it then later today. That's all on my end. Kate, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just keep your eyes out on the Indexer announcements channel for the specifics, and we'll help with coordination, and we'll share more about the curation strategy and other details. Yeah, and feel free if you have any questions to ping me in the Indexer announcements channel. I usually am announcing and kind of giving indexers an idea of where we're at with chains that are expecting rewards. So if you need to reach out directly, I'm there. And yeah, we'll continue to follow up here and support indexers in this process as best we can.
I also wanted to touch on one thing. I know something that is very important to me, and I also know important to a lot of the other indexers on this call, is the security of the network. And the first batch of chains have undergone the same rigid POI testing that we've done for the other chains that have been migrated. So will the third and fourth batch. The second batch of chains, so there will be one batch of chains that are EVM compatible, where we'll be trying to do a fast track where we'll compare against a lot of public RPCs, and also against a few of our own self-synced nodes. But we might try to do that in like concurrent with the governance process. Because historically it has taken a while to go through the various levels of governance in the Graph protocol, and we want to migrate that volume as soon as possible to the Graph network. So, if there's any indication that things are not as they should be, we'll halt and move those chains or that chain back. So we won't proceed unless we are confident that has the same standards as the other chains we bring to the network. So I see there's some questions. Philly asked, I'm not sure if everyone can send messages in the indexer announcement channel. I think it's the best to just discuss it in the indexer channel, or specifically in the channels for each chain we can use as well, and just tag Kate there, and she can loop in some of our indexers as well if needed. Any other questions on it? I'll hand it back to Abel then.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. And yeah, of course, there'll be repeat discussions on this, so folks, feel free to chime in, and of course, message in the relevant channels that were mentioned by Slim there. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, good response in the chat there from a lot of people thanking you guys in 𝗨𝗀𝗪 for taking the initiative. So yeah, awesome, good stuff. Okay, if folks have any more questions, just feel free to type in the chat there. I would love to divert everyone's attention to the whiteboard. I have the good fortune now of having privileges. I know I've been moaning for a considerable amount of time about not having privileges, but today is a good day. I do have privileges, and I would like to run a session using the whiteboard. It looks a bit different today. I decided to switch up the colors to ask you guys a bunch of questions about some things that we are thinking about for IOH, and yeah, you know, co-collaborate and potentially like bring this new segment to IOH. So the first thing, so there's a lot of things on this. Graphic design is my passion. Yeah, guys, feel free to go crazy. I know that everybody loves to put GIFs and meme and stuff on the board. So yeah, by all means. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is a segment that we've been talking about on and off for the past, how long has it been? It's been a while. I don't know when we started talking about this, but it's definitely been a while. And oh, oh, I see you're making fun of my color choice. Thanks, Billy. Yeah, what can I say? Graphic design is my passion. So yeah, as I said, we've been thinking and talking about this thing called Network Watch for a while now. And recently we've decided, oh, guys, please don't move things too much. I see people moving questions around. Feel free to unable to launch activity. Oh, interesting. Is everyone else having challenges, or are people able to join the dashboard? I can send you a screenshot. Okay, cool. Seems like it's just Louis then, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm already seeing the first GIF on the dashboard there, so I'm assuming people can click through. Okay, great. Well, as I was saying, Network Watch is something that we've been thinking about for a while now, but recently had the go-ahead to be able to pull forward. And effectively, what we want to do is review network level statistics and discuss as a community how we can drive improvements towards those things. Okay, great. Seems like Jem has confirmed she can see, and a few other people are also on the board as well, which is great. And generally, the motivation behind something like Network Watch is to, of course, improve QoS, and as a community collectively see how we shape up and make efforts towards fixing it. So, first question as it relates to Network Watch is, what kinds of metric would people like to? Okay, fail to maybe try. Oh, POI watch. Sure. I mean, I'm open to having various types of watches. I mean, just I'm curious if we were to introduce POI watch, what do you think that could look like, or what would you like it to be so that you can get the most amount of value, Matthew? And feel free to unmute if you'd like, or type in the chat, whatever your preference is. And then Louis, maybe try logging, coming out of Discord and then joining again. Or maybe there's some permissions I need to give you in order to be able to. You have all the relevant permissions. Interesting. I don't want to derail the network. Okay, right now. Okay, maybe just type in some stuff in the chat and then I'll revisit that later. So in terms of metrics, I've put down just a few that come to mind. Success rate, of course, very important. Average query latency, and average blocks behind chain head per query, I think are some interesting ones that we could perhaps start to review. So if folks have any specific thoughts on types of, well, also just a gut check as well. It sounds like Matthew's pretty excited about it, but a gut check from you guys would be ideal. How does that sound as a potential segment that is recurring? Okay, works on mobile. Okay, great. Good to hear that you're at least able to access it. So a gut check on the idea of network watch. Does that resonate? Does it make sense? Would people be open and excited about the prospect of having this as a recurring segment? And then if the answer is yes, then what kinds of metrics are people keen on seeing? So yeah, either in the chat or via voice, I would love to hear some thoughts there. And in the meantime, Matthew, feel free to elaborate on POI watch. I'm actually curious to know what that would look like. I don't have a vision for that right now. So yeah, I see a few people typing. Let's see. I'll give people a second to respond, and also feel free to type on the board as well if you'd like to express your thoughts there as well. That's also another avenue.
I wonder if people are indexers, people who are interested, are even really aware of the volume of queries going through the network and how they split up in terms of chains and subgraphs. So a good place to start would be to just look at that, right? So people start get to feel a feel for, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're doing this every week or every month or whatever, but you know, I don't think a lot of people know how much traffic's going through. They just have some idea in their mind. They don't really know how many queries are actually being served. And then after that, you can then talk about performance and maybe which indexers are doing well. I would say, though, that anything that we discuss should really just be a dashboard on GraphSeer or GraphScan or indexer tools. You know, these are all tools that already have something that shows usage of the subgraphs. So, if you want it to be low impact in terms of the amount of work, it needs to be, we need to be looking at a dashboard that's already existing rather than it being a piece of work for somebody to crunch those numbers every time. Another interesting metric that I've always been super interested to learn more about is time to index or time to allocate. So what's the response time of indexers to signal? I think most indexers have different opinions and maybe different approaches to this. There'll be some who are like mega automated and, they have something making decisions, an agent making decisions for them or whatever. And then you have folks like myself who basically take a look at the network every day or every other day. And sometimes I look at my alert exceptions if it's stuff I'm already allocated to and the proportions change. But ultimately, I'd really like to know on average, how long does it take based on a certain amount of signal to get an indexer to serve your subgraph, that type of thing.
Amazing. I love that. And yes, in terms of dashboards, most certainly going to leverage things like 𝗨𝗂𝗂𝗪 to enable that. So, completely agree there. Not wise to create new work there. We can pass the needs. Yes, exactly. In fact, a little bit of alpha here for folks. We're going to have a 𝗨𝗂𝗪𝗪 session next week. So this is kind of like a pre-game, if you will, before that. I actually have a question later down the line about thoughts on 𝗨𝗂𝗪 and how people are using it, if they are, and things like that, so we can prepare for that. But those are great. I noted a few of those down. So just to reiterate, so I have all of them. So network traffic per chain to understand just general volume going through the network, response response time to signal, and then time to allocate. Those are the ones that I was able to kind of pull from what you said. Did I get all of them right? And am I phrasing them right? Did I misrepresent any of them, or did I miss any important ones?
It's the response time between a signal being put on a subgraph and an indexer allocating to it. And then from that, you can extend it to, well, how long until they're actually available at the chain head? And that's going to be dependent on lots of different variables. But it's all around what's the quality of the service that we're delivering to our customer at the end of the day. That's really what I feel the focus of any of this needs to be. It's all well and good sort of navel gazing at our performance or how many queries Marc-Andre is ripping every day or Sun Tzu's ripping every day. But ultimately, I think the focus needs to be, the theme needs to be, how is any of this information useful in helping us improve how we deliver the service to the customer?
Yes, most certainly. I think that is the main kind of motivation behind this. So I appreciate you calling attention to that. Amazing. That's really kind of you, Gemma. I just put that down. Does that capture what you're thinking? What Gemma wrote in the chat?
Yeah.
So
Gemma's got it.
Yeah. Amazing. You're a superstar. Thanks for posting that in the chat. I've put it into the whiteboard there. Amazing. This is great. So all of this is going to be really useful because it's going to inform the first iteration of Network Watch, and hopefully we can get these things embedded into 𝗨𝗂𝗪𝗪 and other dashboards as well if they so desire, so that we can address these things and kind of move forward. One thing that came to my mind is it's kind of like what Jim was alluding to there. It's like everything should circle back to QoS. So I wonder how, in your mind, indexers, could we make this session as, I guess, quote unquote, as actionable as possible to make sure that the metrics we're looking at, the things that we're discussing, lead to improvements in QoS. I'm curious to know from you guys operators, like what we could do in that session to make it like as actionable as possible, because that's the idea, really, right? No point navel gazing, as Jim was saying. So curious to hear thoughts on that, folks, if you have any. Do you think just calling attention to these metrics is enough, or should we go further? That's kind of the real question, the crux of the question that I'm trying to understand. Yeah. Perhaps, I mean, if there's no strong thoughts here, then we could just maybe just start with.
I've got loads of thoughts on this, Able, as per usual. I've got many things to say, but
we love you, Jim. It's amazing.
The important thing is that we need to have a problem to solve, right? Okay, so we can bring awareness, we can raise our awareness around the data about performance, but ultimately we need problems to solve. So, right now, good example right now, there's a subgraph out there on base called Uniswap v3, and anyone who's syncing it knows it's horrible. And, me and any of the other indexers are on it have probably had a ping from Mitch or from one of the other members of the Edge and Node support team asking about what's going on with, your performance on that subgraph. And, then I've had other indexers ping me. I've pinged other indexers about it. I mean, how I've talked about it. We haven't figured out what the problem is. And it's just a small group of us looking at it. So, if you wanted to pick up, create a process here where we actually improve QoS, then you need actual problems. So maybe it's every week we have a 5-minute section, or just an opportunity for everyone to say something like what I've just said, which is there's a specific subgraph, we've got issues with it, customers are not happy. Is there something we can do about it? Let's dig into it a bit more, and then maybe take away some some actions for the indexers that are on it, or the indexers that want to be on it. But yeah, I think that what I'm trying to say there is, if you want some outcomes, then we need some actual problems to get our teeth into. And that's just one, right? There are plenty of other subgraphs out there where there are issues with one of the ones that I see all the time. I use Vincent's indexer tools prolifically. So I'm hitting the QoS, the indexers on the QoS, the Oracle subgraph all the time. And it's a frequent occurrence to have issues with that. And you get a little pop-up on indexer tools, and it tells you what the response is from the gateway, which ultimately has come from the indexer. Bad indexer, right? Some of you will know that, some of you won't, but many of you will become very familiar with it as you get more queries. So maybe we can just pick out some of these problems, Abel, on the next session, or the first network watch session, because I know there'll be a million other indexers here who can give me, can just list off a bunch of real problem subgraphs that we could look at. And a lot of them appear to be common problems that can be solved by making some changes to your architecture, or maybe some tweaks in your databases, some indexing that you can do in your database. As a group, we're probably better, we're more effective at solving those problems than just, one or two of us.
Absolutely love that. That is exactly what I was looking for in terms of tying this section to some sort of actionable outcome. So I guess a follow-up. That's all registered. I've got some notes here, and I'll put them onto the whiteboard. But just a follow-up question on that. Would it be wise to approach you guys as indexers to understand which subgraphs, like for example the one you mentioned with Uniswap, are problematic, the one that you mentioned on base there, or should I reach out to Mitch from Edge and Node in case they have like a clearer picture of which ones aren't being as supported as well? Like where in terms of like sourcing the problematic subgraphs, quote unquote, where do you think I should be looking for that? Like, do you guys
I
have
would
a clear
say,
picture?
Yash and Mitch, Mickey, these guys are intimately aware of which subgraphs are chronically falling behind or have performance issues. So I think you'd find that they're an absolute goldmine of information about, what's going on in the support world around subgraphs this week. And a lot of that would be relevant specifically to indexer performance.
Fantastic. Yeah, okay, amazing. I will definitely reach out to those folks for thoughts. And yeah, that's amazing, because that's something really practical that we can start doing, I guess from next week onwards, really. Assuming that all these things can get put into some sort of dashboard that we can look at. But yeah, the minute that's done, we can get straight into it, and it's very actionable. So I love that. Whoever's writing in black, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for putting all of the stuff there onto the dashboard. I've got some notes here that I'm writing, and I was going to transfer, but you're already doing it, so I really do appreciate that. And yeah, thanks so much, Jim, for helping us kind of connect the higher level network watch to something more practical and actionable. I'm very excited to get that kicked off. That's awesome. You kind of alluded to indexer tools as a something that you use quite prolifically in your stack. Do you I wonder, like, what are people's thoughts on things like GraphSeer, other types of dashboards out there? How often do people use these things, and are they embedded in your workflow? If yes, how? If not, why? That's also so every day. Okay, interesting. Which ones in particular, Vincent, and what are you looking for specifically in these dashboards? Very,
So it's
yeah.
not, for me, it's not just, so with indexer tools, I have a Helm chart if any of you are interested, but so it talks to the admin endpoint. So it's not just that I get the information that I need, but also that it's actionable in the dashboard. So that way I can look at things, I can with one click do an off-chain sync, and I can easily allocate and unallocate without even touching a terminal. So not only that it's, I can see what's going on in the network, but that it's actionable in the same dashboard. For me is really important.
Love that. And you said you got a Helm chart there. Is that something you're open to talking to us a bit more about, and maybe sharing and stuff? That's awesome.
Yeah, basically I just took Vincent's tool and turned it into a help chart. So and I did a little reverse proxy magic. So it works just kind of right out of the gate. With it's on Artifact Hub too, so you can just use the name if you want.
Amazing. What a superstar. What a superstar. Yeah, that's thank you for sharing that and highlighting that. And yeah, this is what IRH is about, sharing the alpha. Amazing. Cool. I will also grab a link of that and have a look myself. I think that could be useful for yeah, for oh yeah, demo was last week already. Yeah, true. Yeah, that could be useful for folks. Cool. Cool. Any more in terms of actually no, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good in the way of like network watch. I think I've got a lot there to work with. Okay, cool. All right. Swiftly moving on then, because I have a few other things to get through. Let's see if we can get through all of them. If we can't, that's fine. So any integrations between tools okay, that's a good question to pose to the group here. So any integration between tools that are possible / people want to see, and that's a question from Pili. I guess feeding off what Vince said there, that was quite cool. Yeah, any thoughts there?
POI integration is a big one, right? So I know Vincent is working on, he will be at some point working on POI radio integration with indexer tools. That's a big one, right? So he's doing a lot of work at the moment around improving the workflow in indexer tools so that you could make a more informed decision about whether to close an allocation or if it's healthy enough to close. So he's got some new stuff that he's posted in, I think he's posted it in the indexer channel. So there's I think there's a new branch at least on the repo with some new checks. But that's all leading down the road of also adding integration with POI radio so that you can be, sort of have a confidence level around the integrity of your data before you make a closed allocation. Try and reduce your exposure to arbitration should you end up being in that situation. That's a big one, I think. Anything that does what Vince described earlier, which is not only showing you the information, but allowing you to action on that or act upon that information is, mega powerful, especially if you're not going down the automation route, whether you plan to or not. Just to be clear on what that means, it means that you have a dashboard. Let's say you have a dashboard, simple example, that lists the 10 most high demand subgraphs in terms of query business in the last 24 hours. Then somewhere on that same dashboard, there's a button where you just hit allocate or whatever, and your indexer does what it needs to do in order to get that subgraph and then allocate to it for you. So it's all about allowing you to make decisions in a really agile way. Again, not automation. I know a lot of people are going down that route. But if you're a human still working on this stuff, then tools like that integrate the ability to interact with the indexer agent and other parts of your stack are really, really powerful.
Amazing. What do you think about that, Pilly? I see that Pilly's typing, so yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Jim. Awesome. Preferably, I'd like a similar mode to agent and also have an auto mode with tools or semi-auto where it makes decisions, but also just doesn't apply them till I approve. Nice. That's building upon what Jim was saying. Amazing. Cool. That's really good. Yeah, good food for thought there, Pilly. Vince REPOY's in the tool. Do you want to elaborate on that? Sorry, I don't think I understand. Matthew. I see Matthew's typing. This is great, by the way. This is massively helpful. As Vince comment. Vince comments have POI checking in the index agent. Okay. So you guys are back and forth, or you can clarify what you were saying. Okay. Seems like a conversation between you and Vince. So I'll let you guys discuss that in the chat. Cool. Yeah, no, this is amazing. This is really good. This is the kind of session that I was looking for. No, don't be silly. It's fine. No, this is great. This is fantastic. This is exactly what I was looking for in terms of input from you guys. Yeah, this is fantastic. So let's keep going. So we have the OG IOH leader in the group with us, Jim. He was great. To kind of kick this thing off and really kind of start this community. And I remember back in the days, it was more of like a clinic style. Indeed. It was more of like a clinic style conversation. And I wonder, since we've kind of changed the structure of an IOH session, I wonder if people are craving that. I guess we may stray back towards that with this new suggestion from Jim in terms of finding problematic subgraphs and then kind of like working as a community to like figure out how we can improve them. So I guess that kind of falls under the more clinic style. But I wonder, just a temp check, is that something that people are looking to have again in IOH? Because we're happy to bring that back, because I know that it was quite a successful format in the earlier days of IOH. So keen to hear people's thoughts of that. And then I'm also seeing, as I was saying that, Matthew asking about updates on auto grafting. Is that a session that you would like to see in future? Shall I try and pull people in to discuss that, Matthew, and give an update to the group? We'd love more updates from ENN on the development. Okay, you got it. I am going to go ahead and put that in my to-do list to follow up on. I'm just going to make sure that I attribute this correctly. Matthew from Pinax is asking for this. Okay. All right. I will follow up on that to make sure we have some sort of updates here in the following IOH sessions. Any thoughts? +1 on clinics, but only if attached to specific problems and solutions to the. Okay, yeah, great, amazing. Yeah, I think honestly, the format proposed in Network Watch will kind of gear towards more of a clinic style, and it seems like people are up for that. Clinic style was nice because it felt more important to be on the call versus listening afterwards. Interesting. When we have a presentation from a new network, for example, listening in after the fact on YouTube provides the same level of value. Interesting. That is so interesting. So if you feel like there's more, I guess it does make sense. There's more immediate value for being actually in the conversation, because either you're the one sharing the problem and getting feedback, or you're the person helping, or you can ask questions during some sort of diagnostic. Okay, that's really valuable. So I'm hearing that we should bring back some sort of clinic style approach, and we should make it do some like marketing around that, I guess, to make it clear that it's a clinic style and that people should come along so they can get the most amount of value. Okay, that's really useful. That's very, very useful. I'm gonna grab your comment and put it in the doc here so I don't lose it. Actually, I'm gonna put it in my notes because it's better formatted here. Okay. Thank you, sir. That was really useful. To be clear, auto-grafting doesn't impact me personally. I'm asking on behalf of the community because I hear complaints about it all the time. Interesting. Can you elaborate on what some of those complaints are, Matthew, just so I can make sure that whatever session does come into play in the future addresses those concerns? In addition to grafting, I'd love to mark things as trash and agent just eats them out of my Postgres. That would be amazing. Okay. Okay. So that's in relation to well, I guess yeah. In addition to grafting. Okay. Cool. All right. I'm gonna put that as part of my notes. So I can follow up on that. Vince. Okay, cool. Amazing. This is great. This is really, really good. Always love these feedback sessions. Okay, so moving on to the next one. I might speed up a little bit because we're coming up on time. I am thinking about reintroducing a series on Postgres. I remember that we were doing a little bit on Postgres and people loved that. And so I'm thinking about bringing that back. I have a few folks in mind as for leading those sessions, and I can obviously ask them how they would structure a Postgres series. But of course, that series is for you guys, so it's better to ask you guys. What would you like to see if we were to do like a series of IOHs dedicated to Postgres? So like, what are the current challenges people are facing, and how could we help alleviate those? Maybe we could combine this with what we were talking about earlier, with this desire to kind of have a clinic. So maybe we could have a bunch of Postgres experts come into IOH and then have people come in with their Postgres problems and then kind of figure that out on the fly during the call. Is that something people will be open to? And then furthermore, any specific topics that you guys would like to have presentations about, like let me know. Because I would love to make sure people are sorted on that front. And the same is true for Kubernetes and protocol economics, which is why they're on the dashboard there. When Lutter or John Hours and GraphNode release, so I kind of has this. Yeah. Everybody loves a good Lutter session and a good John session. I'm not sure on the next GraphNode release. I think it's coming soon as far as I'm aware, but don't quote me on that. Yeah. Okay, I see a few people typing.
How do people feel about GraphNode releases at the moment? I'm still on, oh gosh, I can't remember now, but a long way from whatever the current release is. And I'm relatively fearful of upgrading it, if I'm totally honest. How do people feel about the current releases and the process of upgrading? Right. So people are on 36.1. Okay, so do people feel like 36.0 was a bump in the road? Because really that's what I'm sort of diplomatically referring to. Do we feel like that was a bump in the road that's been overcome, or do we feel like that's something that could happen again? Yeah, I know 𝗨𝗂𝗬𝗀 did provide an update, I think, after there was a bunch of problems with that 36.0 around improving the process on the edge and node side, but I'm still of the opinion that in order for us to have confidence about going to production with a new release of GraphNode or indexer tools, indexer agent or the tap agent stuff, then we need a period of time running it on a test net with everyone with their different infrastructure. But glad to hear that 36.1 has cleaned up a lot of problems. So I'll look at upgrading myself in the next week.
Amazing. Nice alpha sharing there. Best of luck, Jim. Best of luck. That's awesome.
I would just add, Abel,
Sorry,
just to make sure and bookend that question you had. I would lump the Postgres stuff with the idea of sessions being tied to problems. Just personal opinion. I feel like the best use of these really talented people and their wisdom is on real practical problems.
Got it. So just so I understand, that would manifest as a clinic style conversation with these Postgres geniuses effectively, right?
So we're talking real clinic here. We're talking somebody's at a terminal, somebody's in PG Badger, somebody's in PG admin, somebody's looking at logs. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you talked about that being what indexer office hours looked like in the early days. I think you're right. That was what we sort of intended to make it. But I would caution that the audience for that is a lot smaller than maybe what we have on here. I think, again, just my opinion. It's what I want to do. It's what I'd like to see the time spent on because it helps me, right? But I would say trial it and see how things go. But I would say that we're talking not about master classes. We're not talking about a lecture. We're talking about getting John in to get his hands dirty with us on, performance issues on a specific subgraph or something along those lines.
Definitely. Yeah, and we can definitely do that. I know that there's intent from John's side to do that, and as well as Lutter as well. Yeah, and on the point about like the smaller audience, honestly, the way that I see this is that yes, it is more technical and will have less people who might be able to follow along, but those people, by being in the deep end, will learn so much. And those like, the way that I see it is we can have those sessions be like maybe like once a month or something, where it's kind of practical hands-on, and then other times it's more like presentation focused, so that like we're touching bases for all types of people at IOH, right? Like we want to cater to you because it sounds like that would be interesting for you, and I would assume for many other experienced indexers too, and we also want to cater for newer indexers, right? So I think we can balance that out just via like smart scheduling, and we can bring people along the journey for sure.
That sounds great.
Yeah, amazing. These are all fantastic suggestions. Honestly, this I almost wish we had more time. This is amazing. This is really, really good. This is exactly what I was hoping for with the session. Some more of those getting to the weed sessions 100% needed. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Okay, so what I'm pulling from that is I will just message the Postgres folks and see if we can get some sort of like clinic style call on the schedule pretty soon, because it sounds like that would be super beneficial. Do just on that point, would it make sense for me to kind of like message in the Discord and on Twitter and kind of ask you guys for specific challenges and then bring that to the Postgres experts, or would you like them to pick out stuff and then chew on that, or do you want them to just make the time available and then you guys come along and as and when things come up, you share them? Like, what's the best way of approaching this in your opinion, guys? Got it. Yeah, go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
I was going to say maybe the combination of input from the support team as to what they see, and then also, indexers with their specific challenges, maybe. So a mix of the two.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. I can definitely. Yeah. Both make sense. I'm just gonna write this down. Input from support team and indexers ahead of the session. Okay, fantastic. Ask the experts to bring topics to discuss and then leave it open for. Okay, yeah, that's also a good way of doing it as well. Okay. Oh man, we're at the top of the hour, but I have so much more in the way of questions. But that's fine. We can always reserve these other questions for another time. I think the main things that I wanted to get covered off have been covered off. This was a fantastic session. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really do appreciate each and every one of you for being here and also contributing as well. I have a lot to chew on, as you can see from all the writing on the whiteboard there, and also my personal notes, which you can't see. This is amazing. Next week, I'm trying to organize a discussion with the GraphSeer team to come along. So there's going to be more discussion around Network Watch and specific metrics and stuff. I'm going to try to see if we can get some of these things implemented between now and then, but no promises. But definitely we'll have GraphSeer and we'll start to flesh out what Network Watch looks like by next week. Okay, this was great. Any final thoughts or comments people want to shout before we wrap today's conversation? Just want to make the space for that before we wrap today's conversation. Alrighty, we're getting a lot of thanks in the comments there. So I'm guessing there's no major final thoughts, but just thanking, which is great. Thank you all. This was amazing. And we will see you again same time next week for another edition of Index Hours. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.